on the new bill?
Yeah, so I've got all the old pros on the line here. This is going to be something you've heard before, so I'll make it real quick and sweet, and then turn it over to Trina and John and David. I hope could join us too. But 1 second, I'm getting a little feedback. I'm going to close my door. Karen's right in the other room there. So anyway, we'll make this short. We'll get to the others quickly because that's the meat of it. We want to see what's going on in the trenches. But as all of you know, this will be taped. So if someone else is listening to this the first time, you know about the bill that was passed that basically rejected the compromise that we had put into place to have newspaper only notice, newspaper website only notice. And basically they replaced it with this new website, county website only option. But on the bright side, they did keep the periodicals permit criteria that had been rejected. That was going to be phased out, so it's still back in a valid way to go ahead and get your notice recognized. And then, of course, the audience criteria that we had come together and developed for free newspapers, that's available too. So you've got the three options there in the new bill. But today we're going to be focusing on the county website option, which is getting a slow start around the state. We understand, as Jim mentioned, it's the effective date of January 1st. I'm on this Florida Bar chat listserv, and there's been a little bit of chatter early on, but lately they've gone silent on this for the most part. So I haven't, and this is where a lot of the county and city attorneys will ask questions of other jurisdictions. I haven't heard a lot on the option, but as you recall, this allows any governmental agency, which can be a county, a municipality, a school board, any other unit of local government, to opt to use the county website instead of a newspaper if they show certain criteria. And the main one, of course, is this general cost less language that Citrus County Chronicle folks, Trina and John, have run into and had to battle with their county. And it's very vague. We don't know what cost is. It's not defined. So you can use a lot of things and be very wide, I think, expansive in how you interpret that cost less language. And the other part of the bill is there's this new first class notice, mailing or email requirement that if a citizen requests it, they have to actually send the notice by first class mail or email, and they have to have a registry to include those who are requesting that. And there's also language that they must prepare the sworn affidavits. And there is language about the smaller counties having to jump through additional hoops regarding broadband. They actually have to have a public hearing. So technically, in those bigger counties that you might be in, there's no public hearing requirement. So you'll have to keep really up to speed and up to date on what your local county is doing with respect to the website only option, because they could do in other ways. A workshop, for example, Polk County has done a workshop, so maybe it's not a full-blown public hearing, and so you just have to keep on top of them on regarding that. So what we're hearing now is the two main counties are, of course, Citrus County and Polk County. David's on the line here, so basically they're looking at it just like Citrus had looked at it, and they're going to be moving into staff looking at it in December, and then coming back in January to see whether they're going to move forward. And we'll just continue to watch them. We're going to be relying on you on the local areas to be doing that. Broward has looked at it preliminarily, but I don't think they're moving any forward, at least nothing new last month or two. And then there's been some other talk in other counties, but nothing of substance from what I understand. So what we're doing, we're just asking the members to remain vigilant about any new developments, particularly your counties, because they're going to be the mothership for this website. All the other municipalities will then be going on to the county website. So they're going to have to take the first step. Keep your lines of communication open with your contacts. Inform them proactively about the downsides of the website only option. We do have some resources available on our website for you to use. We've got some Q&As, and they include a lot of arguments you can make on that cost issue and how you can flesh it out and really show some of the hidden costs that they may not be taking into account. And I think you can make a good splash there. And we've also have drafted ads that you can use for a campaign. I'm going to let Trina and John talk more about that in a moment, but they are available. I wouldn't recommend you doing those until you actually have a public hearing and they're really moving forward aggressively on adopting the option. They're mainly to defensively for use. And then again, those downsides of the government using the option are in those Q&As. So we're just asking everyone to let us know. We'll be the clearinghouse for what's going on around the state and keep that on a spreadsheet about what the counties are doing and help you support in any way we can. I've got a couple of legal issues that have come up real quickly, and if there's more information, you can contact me. But the first one is, what kind of ads can be run using the website only option? So I went ahead and put together a memo. The Citrus County attorney had requested that through the Chronicle, and hopefully that clarified that it's really muddy, that it's not straightforward, and that theoretically it's definitely not all the notices, and it could be just a handful of notices. If you take my argument, which is you've got to have something in the language saying you can use the website only option. Some of these notices do, they are several big notices, but a lot of them still have that newspaper requirement, and those have to remain in the newspaper. Okay, and then let's see. The last thing is really not on the website only option, but going back to the bill, you remember some of the ad content limits and the continual publication requirements from the bill. That did not make the new bill, so those requirements are going away, and you won't have to have that. Kristen, you've taken a good leadership role in this on what to, how to do that continual publication. And then of course that ad content, and that's going away. So that will no longer be a requirement. So that's my really brief outline of what's going on. Jim, any questions?
Sam, I thought you did a nice job. And I know, you went through all those changes pretty quickly. Just a couple of other counties that we're keeping an eye on that you might not have mentioned, Pasco and Duval, we've heard rumblings. And I know Kristen's got her ear to the ground, and some other folks on the call. We have a marketing committee that meets every other week, and we are communicating and talking to each other about, next steps, and all of our ears to the ground as far as, what's coming up. The big thing about the bill, and Sam hit this, and I want to hit it again, is there's the or in the bill, right? So the county, they can continue to do what they're doing. They don't have to do anything, or they can have this hearing and create a government website. The threshold, Sam, and I don't know if you mentioned this, is 160,000 population or less, right? Citrus County, go figure, is 158, somewhere around there, right? So that teed them up for this hearing, which we're going to hear about in a few minutes. But I'm happy to take a pause and answer anybody's questions based on the new bill language that Sam just went over. Yeah,
Sam, the memo you mentioned about the types of ads, is that on the FBA website?
It is, but I can send it to you. But yeah, it's posted to the public notice resource page.
Okay. All right.
But you know what, Foy, I'll send it to you, email it. But
thank you.
Yeah, I'm almost 90% sure. I'll go back and check that, but I think it is.
Okay. Any other questions before we move on?
Jim, I would add St. Lucie County to that too. They were supposed to do a website test in October, but we have not been able to find out from them if the test was successful or not.
All right. Thank you for sharing that. All right. So on that note, right, I'm going to pass the baton over to John and Trina. They're going to share their experience, what happened in Citrus County, right? I mentioned the threshold, 160 or less in total population. They had to go through the hearing process, which happened, and Sam and I actually had front row seats to that, and we were able to actually hear the county commissioner and what they had to say. But I'm gonna pass it over to John to take us through the process, what they did, because they had a great ground game that we could all learn from, and look forward to hearing from both of them. So John, take it away.
Yeah, thank you so much. And just to reiterate, we saw the attack coming because we are under that 160 threshold. So they had to have the public workshop, they had to have the public meeting, which gave us opportunity to kind of build steam, build momentum, and kind of come up with a game plan. But,
Hey, John,
one thing
I'm sorry. Hey, John, I'm so sorry to cut you off. Who was the 941 number? Could you please identify yourself?
Melinda Prescott,
What paper are you from, Melinda?
the Daily Sun.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. I just want to make sure we don't have someone coming from the outside in. Thank you for
Of
that.
course.
Sorry, John. I did not mean, I just want to make sure we're good.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. So let me just kind of start here by saying that, something to know about legislators, whether they be at the local level, the state level, or anywhere in between, they go like a half-inch thick and 20 miles wide on their information, right? Like, so they know very little about a whole lot of stuff. And we knew that. And so what we wanted to do was start with kind of the education process. The publisher met with each one of the Board of County Commissioners individually and just started with that because, and we, Sam mentioned that, and Jim mentioned that they were at the initial Board of County Commission meeting where they decided to have the workshop. And in that meeting, you could tell they didn't even understand the different types of notices and which ones that were going to be required to be online versus in print, and who handles the notices, and what happens if the sheriff wants to run the notice. Is that different than the county? And I mean, it was so much conversation at the dais that you just knew that they didn't even understand what all of this meant. So that's where we started, was with the county commissioners, having one-on-one meetings with them and help them to understand, what it takes to even process a notice. What is an affidavit? Having to literally explain to commissioners what an affidavit is, why it exists, and that process, and that, oh, by the way, if you take this over, you're going to have to take over that process as well, right? So it was just about making sure they understood that, I've got 2 FTEs associated with this. I got 2 FTEs that are assigned to this to handle my properties, and what is the county going to do? Because you're going to have to augment your FTE.
If you want, you can send it to me and I'll upload it.
Tim, could you put yourself on mute, buddy? Tim Smolerack, thank you.
In a 941.
All right, so there we go. So that was it. So we started with the county commissioners, having one-on-one meetings with them, helping them to understand just the variables, right? Here's how inexpensive public notices are. We happen to be in a situation, I won't talk about specifics of rates, but just we happen to be in a situation where we have not raised our public notice rate in 15 years. Our public notice rate has not changed in 15 years, and we hammered that home to everybody that would listen to us. And so met with the county commissioners, make sure they understood what it takes to handle public notices, and posed all the questions to them to kind of help them self-identify. Oh yeah, how are we going to do internal billing? How am I going to bill the sheriff's department for public notices? Or if, we happen to have a, Turnpike Authority places notices with us all the time because we have the extension of the Suncoast Parkway coming through our community. Well, the Turnpike Authority is actually one of those notice categories that could go on the county-owned website. So I posed, what are you guys going to do with that? How are you going to bill the state of Florida for those notices? I mean, those sorts of things that kind of raise doubt in their mind was really where we started. And of course, there's 5 county commissioners. You don't need a 5-0 vote. You only need 3 of them. And we were fortunate that we had 3 that we knew we could swing and 2 that weren't even worth our time. So we didn't have any conversations with the 2 that weren't worth our time. And so that was where we started. Then we incorporated the readers, right? We got readers, actual real human beings involved in this process, writing letters to the editor, sending emails to county commissioners, sending snail mail letters to county commissioners. So much so that the chairman of the Board of County Commission, who absolutely hates our guts, had to say he had overwhelming response from the public that the notices have to stay in the newspaper, and he didn't have anybody say that they should go on the county website. And this is a guy that hates us and would take any opportunity to take a swipe at us, and he had to publicly say that. So getting the readers involved. And then when it came to the actual workshop itself, we were prepared with a whole gaggle of people in the audience to stand at the lectern and give public testimony as to why it was important. So these were readers, these were real people in our community, but these were also people of influence in our community. As an example, we have an education foundation that was on the front lines in March of 2020 when all school had to go virtual. We live in a rural community, and so the people that actually had to make sure that internet access was available to students to continue their remote learning when all the schools closed down was ready to stand at the lectern and say, you don't understand, broadband access in our county does not exist, right? So it was the rate, it was broadband access, and it was, is the public going to be served? That was kind of our three-prong attack for us, because we knew we had really solid ground on rate. We knew we had really solid ground on broadband access. Even the county's own documentation, after they started doing research on this, proved that out. And then, of course, the more philosophical question of, you know, government in the darkness is not good for any of us. And we were kind of prepared on that front. So and then the final leg of this from a ground game standpoint, because, you know, you had to throw everything at it, was, as Jim said, the marketing effort. The reason why all the letters to the editor came flowing in and the emails to the county commissioners was because the ad series that Sandpaper Marketing came up with, we took advantage of, and we printed daily and made sure that our readers understood the importance. We also did email marketing, right? We have got a whole newsletter strategy for the news side of our business. We use that same audience, and we sent them an email newsletter with clickable links in it, right, to be able to email their county commissioners. We made it very easy for people to help us. And I think that's an important part of this is you got to do all the heavy lifting and hand it to somebody and let them sign their name to it, kind of thing, right? I'm not advocating for form letters, but just we got to do the heavy lifting to make it easy for readers to be on our side. So that was it. There's a lot of detail in all of that, but just kind of big picture philosophically, that was kind of where we're at, meeting with county commissioners, making sure they understood really what it takes to place a public notice and what the opportunity for failure for the county is if you take it over, working with the readers and the community, making sure that they understood why it was important, and really using the pages of our newspaper, both with opinion pieces, running news stories, and also, of course, letters to the editor. And our tactics were this: it was the rate, it was understanding all the expense associated with it if you take it over. It was, do you understand that we have no internet access here in our community? And is the public served any better by you taking this over? So I ripped through that pretty quickly, but certainly any questions, any details there, I'm more than welcome to share.
John, you have Trina on the call with you, and I know she was really active as, you know, she's in the publisher role, right? And you know, it's so important that those relationships stay strong, and we have these conversations. Trina, who did you head out to talk to first? I mean, what did that look like when you were out there, you know, pounding the pavement?
So I actually started some of these visits even prior to the vote coming up in the meeting, because I suspected that if there was a county that was going to go for this, it would be ours, just because of our the chairman not being a fan of the Chronicle. So I actually met with the clerk pretty early on, and I was surprised to see that her feeling was already decided that she wanted to move forward with this. I think, you know, the clerk in particular, she liked the idea of adding more people to her department. It was kind of growing her kingdom, if you will. And I think she liked the idea that she would be, you know, managing an important part of our business, or their business. And so she liked that idea. She's also a political opinion in the county, and she felt like from a political standpoint, this would hurt the Chronicle. I mean, sadly, you know, politics comes into nearly everything in the conversation. But so she was positive about moving notices out of the newspaper. Then, though, after that, I met with county commissioners, and nearly all of them said, I don't see any reason why we would do this and make this change. And a lot of the conversation was, we need to help save the Chronicle. And of course, I said, this is not about saving the Chronicle. This is about doing what's right for taxpayers, make sure you're actually saving money. And yeah, I don't see any way that you could possibly do this cheaper than we do it. Since when does government know how to save money? It's just not typically what they can do. So, once I had those conversations, once we cleared the information up, at one point the clerk felt like, well, all she would need to do is send out emails to those who requested to be on this list, and that would suffice. And we had to remind her that, hey, by the way, if you don't have internet access, then you're probably not going to have an email. And so snail mail was the answer on the bill. And so that was the next step. And that took her a moment to go, oh, I didn't realize that. So it was really, there was, as John said, they didn't have a depth of knowledge about really what they were getting into, but I think they just liked the idea of causing some pain locally.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing. I think all those tactics combined just worked. Kirk, I'm thinking about St. Lucie, like you just said. I mean, I'm wondering if Vernon's been out, having these conversations, because I believe that's going to be an important part of your ground game. So, any success there? Any moves in that direction?
We've had that. We've been to more meetings, and he's talked to more people that he knows also than we could even list. But what's funny is what John mentioned earlier. I was at a county commissioners meeting, and the county attorney was there. And they said this is one of the things. This was at a meeting that they announced that they were doing the test in October, and the county attorney said something, and I had to stand up and say, she's wrong. And this is the subsection. This is it's part 2, subsection C, and they literally stopped the meeting to look at it during that, and she had to admit, I misread the new law, which did not endear her to me at all. I'm pretty sure I'm not getting a Christmas card from her this year, because she had to admit to the county commissioner she didn't know what she was saying. So it's been, for us, it's been a little bit more difficult, only because we came in under the free newspaper part that just started this January 1st. So we were still trying to break into new ground when all of this broke at the end of January, and got into everything with the bill being signed finally in May, I think it was. So we've not only been trying to hold what we had before, as I've come from paid newspapers, paid dailies in Ohio, I'm still trying to break us in under the new law that happened this year in 2022. So it's been an interesting. It's been an interesting ride for us as well too, but lots of meetings, trying to talk to as many people as possible, Jim.
Yeah, smart. And thank you for sharing, Kirk. I think, that's what we all need to be doing, ears to the ground, and just, talking to these county commissioners and just hitting it ahead of time, right? You heard Trina say that she got ahead of it, because we do believe this is, this continues to ripple throughout the state. And and that's what we all need to do. We all need to just keep our ears to the ground and just keep communication flow going as far as what counties are continuing to have these conversations. Any more burning questions that folks? John, I saw you post something in the chat.
Yeah, it's just a link to the PowerPoint presentation that we had intended to make at the workshop. The workshop meeting, we actually sent it to the BOCC in advance of the meeting to make sure it's part of the public record. But it's just got maybe some bullet points in there that somebody might find interesting. We wound up, because the way the workshop went for us, and the commissioners really were saying at the lectern, at the dais, that we really can't even move forward because the clerk is saying they can't do it cheaper. We kind of kept our powder dry, and when it came to open to the public and to speak, I kept everybody in the audience at bay, and nobody spoke, because it was more about just kind of making sure that we kind of kept our powder dry to fight another day if necessary.
Yeah, but thank you for sharing. And so folks, that is on the chat if you guys want to download that and add that to your arsenal. We have another question in the chat. So Tim, just open up your line. Just feel free to jump in the pool here.
Okay, believe it or not, I just got out of a county commission meeting where they had the very first discussion about this today. I was lucky enough, the county attorney brought it to my attention over the weekend. We got something very short in the paper at the end of the story. I just want to know, I want to thank you guys first for doing this. I want to know, where we could, I personally get more links in our paper to fight this, to get into the more specifics of this, because I can tell you this much. You could tell that every county commissioner there today, and they're not opposed to the paper. I don't say we have like a horrible relationship with
Tim, where are you from? What
from
county?
the Florida Keys. We're the daily paper here in the Florida Keys. We're the Keys Citizen. So
Okay.
we're the daily paper down here. And it's, I know this was out there. I was found a little bit as a journalist. And so it just sort of popped on my radar screen. I'm glad you're having this discussion today, because it sounds like they agreed to move forward with the process to research this. And so I just want to know, like, whatever links I could get emailed to me and to my boss, who's also on this call or on this chat, Kevin Downey. We would really appreciate every help, because, we're a small paper with small resources, but we would love to. I do feel this is important. Obviously, there was no one from us there today to speak, which is okay, because I think it's still pretty new in this. But I think it's an important issue to us. And there were some things I did bring up to the county attorney. I wish he would have mentioned today, because they mostly focused, interestingly enough, on broadband and how much broadband is available in the Keys. And if I take them on their word, it seemed significant, but I don't know that. I wasn't able to check that. And then also about how much it would cost, because they were saying, I think they said they spent and it doesn't seem like a lot of money to me, but they said they spent $95,000 in the last 5 years on all of these public notices. And they said, like, well, we go above and beyond. We don't go just with you guys at the Citizen. We go to some of the weeklies and I think this other small publication in a very small community to make sure, there is access. So I just wanted, I wanted to thank you guys for having this. Ironically, I literally just got out of the meeting. They just ended, so I was able to jump into this. I was a little late, but I just want to know what resources are available to us, what avenues. It sounds like talking individually with the commissioners is a good idea. I mean, I feel like probably myself and someone else could make those conversations, but I just want to make sure we're armed with all of the right data to be able to give them to make informed decisions on this.
So Tim, thanks for jumping in the pool and asking these questions. So we have a ton of resources, as you heard John Murphy and Trina's ground game, right? We have, once, if there's a second hearing that's going to happen, what's going to be important is that not only you're there representing the newspaper, but you have your readers there, right? Because they're voters and their voice matters to these commissioners and those folks in that room. We heard that at the podium, actually, at the Capitol building, because time and time again, Sam, myself, a few publishers go up there. There's other lobbyists, but the truth is, they're like, it's the same people we see. Where are the readers? Who are the people that are affected? Those are the people that we should be hearing from, right? So to John and Trina's credit, they ran these ads that we helped create through our marketing partnership with Sandpaper Marketing. They had readers there, some influential readers, because they made some calls ahead of time with some of the chamber folks, Chamber of Commerce president. It's important that those people get engaged, involved in your local communities, and their voice is being heard because they're voters, and that will give them reason to pause. The other piece of it is the first class mail, right? Because that's also in the bill. So they're going to have to mail out by request a public notice, first class mail. They have no clue what that number is going to be. So if you take your market size and start timesing it by, first class mail, and then you said 5 years, well, span that out to 5 years, and guess what? It's a ton of money. So like John said, there's there's probably no savings there. And they were able to prove that out. And we're going to probably have to do that in each market that is, that is faced with this, with these hearings.
How do we get copies of those? How do we get copies of those ads so we can run those in our paper as well?
Yeah, so those ads are on our resource page. Sam, would you be able to throw a link up, or Karen, into the chat? So it's simple versus.
Because I tried to go on the one link, but it was going to cut me out of Zoom. So it might be my computer or whatever, but like, I don't even mind putting my email out there. If someone could email me some of the links, I'll put it in the chat. If someone could just email me the links, and wherever we could get these ads, or your guys' email would be incredibly helpful.
Tim, I have access to those, so I think we got that covered.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the things we did too with those ads that were great, we also customized them with our county commissioners' email addresses, because what you want is your county commissioners getting pretty annoyed by the contacts that they're getting, so that, it's just, again, like John said, we're making it easy for people to contact them. And so we put the email address in so you can contact your county commissioner and let them know. It was our goal to make sure that they heard from others, not just me, not just John, the community telling them that this was important. We also, like you said, Jim, we talked to our president of the county commission, the president of the chamber, and asked him to write a column, and he did. We asked Jerry Mulligan, former editor, to write a column. I mean, we grabbed some people that we thought were important and asked them over a period of a couple weeks to write a column about why it's important. And again, it's not about the newspaper; it is about what's best for the community, and that's how we kept tying it back to, that's the best decision.
Yeah, Trina, thank you for sharing. And as you mentioned, it's not one thing. You did a lot of different things, and I love how you guys customize that ad. That's what it's there for. And I'm sorry I didn't mention that. Customize that ad, talk to your readers, and have them send emails, phone calls to the county commissioner's office, because as you could see in Citrus County, it was pretty impactful. Kirk, did you have a question?
No, I was just going to say that, we went through this about 7 or 8 years ago in Ohio, where they were trying to move it off onto county websites and things like that. And I will tell you that one of the best arguments we had when we were meeting individually with our county commissioners up there was, look, mistakes are going to happen. You're going to forget to call us if you're doing it through the newspapers, or you're going to forget to put up a legal that you had to put up, a bid process or something like that. I said, at least if you're doing it through us at the newspapers, you can always turn around and blame us. I said, we had this argument with the county commissioner, and he said, if you guys are doing it yourself, you have to stand up in front of everybody and say, look, it was our fault. Now we have to put off this street project for 6 months because we forgot to file one of the legals and it's our fault. And they did not want to go to the voters about that. That was, for some of the commissioners, that made a big difference.
Yeah, Kirk, and thank you for mentioning that. And Sam, you can jump in here, right? Because what we found was the city attorney is going to be responsible for a lot of this stuff, right? And they're going to be held accountable, and their feet will be held to the fire if that notice doesn't appear or it's wrong. And, they're going to have to look in the mirror, or they're going to get blamed.
So procedurally, what we're seeing things shape up as is, following Polk, Citrus, and now Monroe, is that there'll be an initial, reference or agenda item on the option, and then they'll talk about moving forward. And so then that hopefully will be your first inclination notice that things are actually going to be looked at, because they probably are under political pressure from some, citizens to move, and commission members to move forward in some capacity to at least look at this. So then they're going to look at it, and it's that time period where John and Trina really got into gear, and really everything was focused, and they started realizing what they were asking for. And so hopefully that's how it'll evolve in Polk and Monroe too. So now you have this window of time before they have a hearing, public hearing, or whatever it might be, to actually decide to move forward. You'll have this time period that John and Trina took great advantage of. And so those ads, those Q&As, all that's on our posted to our website. We have a great letter that I want to mention to you from David Dunrankin about breaking down the first class mailing costs, which is a big issue that they may not be aware of too. And that's that. So all that stuff's on our website. If you have problems, by all means, contact Jim or myself. We'll get it to you.
If Sam, this is Kevin following up, and this is directed at John as well. John, as far as the timing goes, so when did you barrage the public note, the promotional ads? Was that when the public hearings were about to start?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So the ground game, as Trina mentioned, started before even the BOCC meeting where they decided to have the workshop. But once they had decided to have the workshop, we had a little bit of time and space where we started working, kind of really blowing up the phones and making personal phone calls, personal emails, that sort of thing. It was really probably that last 10-day period prior to the actual workshop meeting where we started hitting with the ads in the newspaper, because we didn't want to, barrage them too soon. It was a bit of a timing thing, and we felt like kind of that last 10 to 14-day period prior to the meeting was the best way to do it.
And yeah, and I would, on that, just real quickly, I would not advise running those ads just proactively before anything's happening, because you get them, they're back up, they get all loaded with ammunition that you have, and it's too early. You got to do it at the right time like they did.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point, Sam. All right. Any additional questions, concerns?
This is Tim again, real quick. So it sounds like it is a bit of a finesse thing between hammering them and playing nice with them. Is that kind of what I'm hearing here? I'm kind of curious about that, is because that's really going to be, it's so nuanced that's going to be the most difficult part of this.
Yeah, that really is. I mean, you can kick them in the shins once, but you probably can't do it twice, right? So it's okay to kind of draw out the questions, but you got to do it in a way that doesn't kick them in the shins. Hey, have you guys considered this? Here's something to think about. It can't be, poking them in the chest and telling them how much they suck. It's got to be, you really want to, the narrative really is to try and get the citizenry excited, so that the citizenry are the ones that are preaching. I will tell you that one of the greatest byproducts of this whole thing were the ambassadors that our newspaper now have that we didn't know we had a month ago. There were so many people that came out of the woodworks and like, no, you don't understand. We have to have them in the newspaper. That's where I see them. I get my newspaper every day. I mean, it was like this affirmation of the value proposition that we bring to the community, which was wonderful as a byproduct of all of this.
Yeah, I mean, if you really wanted to get ahead of it, Tim, and you had a couple of readers that you're close to, I mean, you could start running testimonials about how important public notice is in the newspaper and how, that they feel informed. And so that's the teaser to what you're going to actually ask, right? But I agree with John. It's how you ask, it's how you pose those questions to the commissioners. It is a way. You're going to have some finesse to it, because you don't want to, like, I love that. You kick them in the shins twice, because then it's a vendetta, and then they're going to want to punish you, right? And I think at the end of the day, you just want to point out to them that it's going to cost them more money. I mean, there's no savings involved. I mean, we're providing our government a service. It's like them hiring someone to cut the lawn, right? I mean, and we're going to do it cheaper for them, and we're going to help them. So, and that's why, I'm sorry, Tim Smolerak jumped off the phone, Sam, because when I read that note that just came back from Polk County, I mean, they should steal a page out of Rose's playbook from the, from the Orlando Sentinel, and basically say, let us be the conduit. Let us build this out. Let us be a partner versus making it adversarial. So anyway,
Jim, can I say one last thing real quick?
Please do. Please.
One of the things that you guys also have available to you through the Florida Press Association is there is another ad series that just talks about public notices and floridapublicnotice.com, right? So
Yeah.
I think it's important that those are evergreen, right? I think it's okay for us to tell that story all the time to help remind readers and elected officials that what they're getting is way more than just that public notice in that printed publication, but it's on that printed publication's website and it's on Florida Public Notice's website. That's just good house ad material all the time.
Yeah, I agree. But to take it to that next level, though, if you have some readers that you're close to and you can actually get photos and quotes and, you know, and bring that personal touch to that ad campaign, it would complement it big time. All righty, we've got a few minutes left, and you know, you have a ton of brain power here. Happy to answer any questions that are burning still.
Do you know how long the process takes? Like, okay, they just started it with us today saying, okay, we're going to move forward. In previous things, like from that, where they started to the end, months, weeks, a year, what do you think?
Okay, so Polk County, we're talking a couple of months. Citrus, same thing, months.
Yeah.
Not weeks, usually, but a couple of months.
And Monroe County would fit under that 160 threshold. So they would actually have to notice a public workshop. So you would have a little bit of advance notice.
That's right.
Yeah, good point, John. And the key is just-
Sam, can you remind me, how long does a newspaper have to be in business to have public notices?
2 years.
Was it 2? I couldn't remember if it was 1 or 2.
Yeah, we used to be 1, now it's 2. Yeah.
Okay, and that
It
part
exists.
stuck. Okay.
Yeah, it sure did. Yeah, it definitely did.
Good.
Sam, refresher on the audit.
Yeah, so that language is still in there. So the audit still moving forward. Kirk, yeah, he knows all about this, and so yeah, if you're relying on the audience threshold, then you're going to be, you know, with your auditor and continuing on your biennial audits.
So that was every 2 years, Sam, the audit?
Yeah, every 2 years. Yep.
And then, and we were recommending, you know, every year annually, just so you can stay on top of it, but it is biannual. That's in the bill.
Yeah, biennial. Yep.
Yep. All righty. Anybody else? Going once, going twice. All right. Special thank you again, John, Trina, Sam. And also I want to thank our public notice marketing task force. A few of them are on this call, and they've been, you know, every other week we get together, and they've been great. Matter of fact, these resources that we're talking about, they're on the front lines helping us create these ad campaigns and Q&As and everything that's available to each and every one of our members. Hope you found value in our public notice session. We're always looking for suggestions on future VIP sessions like this. Thank you again for joining us. And we at FPA would like this opportunity to wish everyone on this call a happy Thanksgiving. I cannot believe next week's Thanksgiving already, but grateful to all of our members. So everybody have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Take care.